What's going on, my eaters? It's your boy Chef Drew, aka Chef, aka Big Drew. Y'all, this week we're gonna answer some questions for y'all, man. People tell us all the time, you know, when they find out that me and Gwen are chefs, they're like, oh, we got so many questions. My father-in-law, he always is like, hey, Drew, I got a question for you. You know, he's retired, he likes to eat out and stuff, so he goes to different restaurants and he always has some kind of food question. So we got to thinking, you know what? Other people might have some questions. So today we're gonna ask some questions. I'm gonna answer some questions. Joe's gonna read them off to me, and hope you guys enjoy. Before we get into that, please remember to like, subscribe, do all the things to help us continue to bring you this content. Let's go. All right, y'all, so we're gonna get into these questions. Joe has them ready for me. I'm really excited to see what y'all wanna know, but Joe, go ahead.
Are there any chefs you admire and why?
When I think about that question, there are two chefs that come to mind. Actually, that's not true. There are definitely a few chefs that I lean into when it comes to what I do. First and foremost, my wife, Gwen, she's the illest in the kitchen, anyone I've ever met. She's just absolutely amazing. I have learned so much from her about literally how to work in the kitchen. She is so efficient and so fast and can just produce stuff. So I would say Gwen. The biggest influences I've ever had in the kitchen are my mom and my dad. You know, started at home. In the industry, I would say there's a big restaurateur, definitely here in Atlanta in the Southeast. His name is Ford Fry. Great guy. Lots of restaurants. I've had the pleasure of talking to him and conversing with him and having some dialogue over the years with him. I'd consider him a mentor even. The period point blank, he does what I do. And so he has what I ultimately want one day. And so I just feel like he's been really good to me. I love his food. I've tried a bunch of his restaurants. Ford Fry. In the barbecue world, I have my homeboy down in Texas. His name is Big Hav. I have my brother out west. His name is Vic. AJ in Texas. AJ Custom Coasters. AJ Custom Cookers. He's awesome. I have a homeboy in Texas. His name is Corbin, barbecue guy, awesome. Al Fergoni, barbecue guy. I have not met him yet, but I definitely follow him. I want to meet him. I want to do a master class with him. Another chef that I really admire and follow, Argentinian live fire legend. His name is Francis Malman. I really love his work, and I can't wait. I'm trying to manifest it right now. I want to be in his kitchen or around the fire cooking some food with him at some point. Some honorable mentions, I think. I love Iron Chef Morimoto. Gwen and I love Asian cuisine. So Morimoto, we follow his work quite a bit. Rodney Scott, Pitmaster. He does a lot of cool stuff that I pay attention to. Yeah, those are the chefs, but I definitely wanted to recognize Francis Malman as well.
What is your favorite dish to cook and why?
Favorite dish to cook and why? Well, y'all, I love making barbecue because it's freaking good. I make good barbecue. It took me a very long time to get to the point where I felt confidently in saying that, just because there's just a lot of people who do barbecue. There's a lot of people who've been doing barbecue way longer than me. I love making barbecue, and I'm good at it. You know, whether people have been doing it longer than me or not, the proof's in the pudding. People buy. I make it, people buy it. I just need more people to buy it. So Definitely barbecue, baby back ribs, I think I make really well. And culturally, I'm first generation Jamaican American. Home cooking for me is Jamaican food. I love to cook Jamaican food. If I had to pick something, I love curry goat with some rice and peas, some vegetables, or anything fish. Anything fish. Yeah.
What do you do when you have to cook something you don't like? How do you make sure it tastes good?
Yo, so listen, y'all, this is funny. The first thing that comes to my mind with this question, I worked in healthcare for a very long time. When you take care of old people and sick people, one of the things that was always interesting to me is that there are some people who have issues chewing and swallowing. And so you have to grind, puree, liquefy their food. But here's the thing. To me, I thought it was always the wildest thing. Like we're having pork chops and you got to make puree pork chops for somebody. Listen, the fact of the matter is this. I used to hate making like blended up stuff and pureed stuff just because even the people who had to eat that stuff, they don't want to eat it. So, I'm like, wow. However, what's funny is this is a whole nother story for another time, but I was a chronically ill child and I was in and out of hospitals a lot. I had oral surgery type issues. Needless to say, there was lots of times my mama had to blend and puree things for me to eat. And so even though I don't like it, I definitely can relate on a personal level and to what it's like to have to eat stuff that you chew through a straw. So I feel like that personal experience with texture issues in healthcare gave me a grace and a passion for those people. And I just felt like, hey, they might not be able to chew, they might not be able to swallow, but they still deserve for their food to taste good. Pureed, ground, chopped up, whatever it is, we still need good food to heal our bodies. And so I don't like making pureed foods and stuff like that. I don't really have to do it much anymore. But when I did, I would taste it. I would still make sure it tasted as good as it could for what it was.
Starting out in the culinary world, is kitchen experience or culinary school more valuable?
Kitchen experience. Starting out in the culinary world, is kitchen experience or culinary school more valuable? Kitchen experience. Y'all, I went to culinary school one hot year. It was a great year. I loved it. I went to Johnson & Wales University School of Culinary Arts in Miami, Florida. I heard recently it is no longer there. I am so sorry, especially considering I'm still paying those student loans. I digress. I went to Johnson & Wales for 1 year. It was one very expensive year. I'm still paying for it 20 years later. But I dropped out. And I dropped out because at the time my parents owned a convenience store and I was at one of the busiest intersections in Miami, and I was able to convince them to put a kitchen and a range hood in their convenience store. They did. And I dropped out of culinary school. I went to our convenience store. I made what I thought was a little menu, put that thing up in the window and opened the door. And here we are 20 years later, I'm still cooking. That's how my culinary career really started. I tell people all the time, I do not regret going to culinary school. Culinary school didn't really teach me much as far as what I was doing. I learned when I was at culinary school, I already knew a whole bunch of what I was doing. I've been cooking my whole life. I've been around cooking my whole life. What culinary school did do was two things. It taught me why. It taught me a lot of the science behind what we're doing in a pot or on a plate. And it also taught me how to efficiently work in a commercial kitchen setting. A lot of times, and you'll know when you're out there in these kitchens, y'all, or I'm sure in your respective fields of interest and profession too, you know the people who show up and they say they know what they're doing, but they peeling onions funny. That's basic. They say they know what they're doing, but the basics just are not there. So, and I digress. I don't know why I was saying that. But in any case, culinary school or the industry, you can still have a great, great career. It's one of the few industries out there where if you're willing to put in the work, you can find yourself in the kitchen somewhere and start a career as a chef if you're willing to do the work.
What ingredient or ingredients do you always keep stocked in your pantry?
What ingredient or ingredients always keep in stock? Listen, first and foremost, we did an episode on this, y'all. Salt and pepper. Gotta have salt and pepper. We gotta season our food. I love fresh herbs, so there's always fresh herbs around us. In my house, a lot of times it's cilantro or fresh thyme, sage sometimes, mint, but we love fresh herbs. Basil as well. Garlic, gotta have garlic and onions. It's always there. You know, when I was little, my mom always told me, she said, baby, when you get big, always have a bag of flour, a bag of sugar, and some oil, and salt and pepper. And if you have those things, you can eat. Jamaicans make these things called fried dumplings, and pretty much that's what they are: flour and water and salt. And you fry them up in some oil, or you can boil that same dough and you make dumplings and you pair it with something. Ginger, we always have ginger as well. Different various oils. We like a lot of different oils. We keep our pantry pretty heavy. Coriander is a secret spice for us. Lots and lots of chilies, hatch chilies, Scotch bonnet chilies, habanero chilies, jalapeno, Tabasco chilies, poblano, lots of chilies. Allspice, Jamaicans always got an allspice or a pimento. Is there anything that's very important? Y'all, it's always in my freezer. I don't necessarily cook with it, but I eat it. I already said it, ice cream, y'all. That's always in my pantry. I don't know if that's what you want to know, but I just had to throw that in there. So guys, listen, we had a little pocket full of questions right there. I hope you enjoyed that. You got a little bit of perspective. We'll start doing this a little more often. And with that, if you guys have any questions, anything at all that you want to know about in the industry, about business, about the Eating Chambers channel or Pink's Barbecue, please, please, please make sure you drop a comment, ask your questions, hit us up on our social media, and we'll hopefully get those questions answered for you on the platform. Y'all, listen, we are always here to educate you, excite you, and empower you into the future that you want for yourself and your business. Thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you so much for being here this week. Please, 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 until next time, make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things that you need to do to help us continue to bring you this great content. Make sure you check out our Homeboys podcast, Chuck and John, Last Night's Coffee with Chuck and John, available on all streaming platforms. Until then, y'all, let's go.